Nature versus Nurture in the Devil Brothers case study. The boys in the story were brought up in a very abusive and dysfunctional home. Their family life consisted of an abusive, paranoid father and a mother addicted to drugs that allowed them to watch violent, gruesome, and pornographic material. There was a total of 7 boys in the home, all of which were notorious in the neighborhood for criminal activity. In the Daily Mail article, the 2 boys had been in trouble many times in their lives, with an extensive history and an exceptionally long criminal record behind them. This was nurture, in my opinion, from learned behavior from examples set by the older siblings and 2 dysfunctional parents. I would argue that this case is a mixture of both nature and nurture failings. I would argue that that nurture has an overwhelming evidence that this case, given the information provided in the research. Trying them as adults was prudent, considering the severity of the crimes and the fact that they showed no remorse in the courtroom. They were aware of the crimes and made mocking statements to the victims during the torture session. "We're going to prison," they said. The children displayed symptoms of antisocial behavior evidenced by the following: disregard for right and wrong, being callous, recurring problems with the law, including criminal behavior, repeatedly violating the rights of others through intimidation and dishonesty, hostility, significant irritability, agitation, aggression, or violence, lack of empathy for others and lack of remorse for harming others, unnecessary risk-taking or dangerous behavior with no regard for the safety of self or others, poor or abusive relationships, and failure to consider the negative consequences of behavior or learn from them. This is clearly a case of nurture being the primary cause for their problems. Their environment and external forces played a key role in their development of their antisocial behavior. If the social services agency had gotten them significant psychiatric intervention, the crimes may have been able to be avoided, or at least thwarted. The father left home prior to the crimes and seemed to be the pivotal breaking point for the boys. The mother had given up on them and begged to have them placed in foster care separately for safety, but unfortunately they were not. They could run wild, terrorizing the neighborhood with no consequences for their actions. Many neighbors and community members had made numerous complaints of vandalism, racism, to adults and children alike. With a combination of protective oversight, therapy, medications, and support, this could have been avoided. The social work agency that was involved had a history of inferior performance and supported as evidence by the death of 7 children in its care. Upon review, it was noted that 31 opportunities to intervene in this situation were missed by the agency. There's a significant environmental evidence in this case to support my argument that nurture, not nature, was the primary influencing factor. The horrific crimes committed by these boys were learned behaviors, not innate or natural tendencies. They were subjected to violent material, dysfunctional relationships with no oversight or support by anyone. Modification of the external factors could have been dramatically different with the outcome in this case. Their trial as adults was appropriate because they were aware of what they were doing, making statements that they were bored and showed absolutely no remorse.